Number 13 is just a 2 means t-test. You just go put all the data in there. It's an inference test, and I'm going to have HA would be that mu1 doesn't equal to mu2. I do get a a t value of 3.27, but I get a p 0.001, so that means that b, my p value is less than 0.05, and they are significantly different. Number 14 talks about using a placebo. All right, and then it says, the major reason for separate assignments for men and women is that it's not that the study is large, but it may affect men different than females. So the answer to this guy is B. All right, so what they want to know is which graph represents the data with the largest standard deviation. And so let's first talk about what is standard deviation. Is how far we are from the mean, okay? So the answer is D. Now maybe let's see if I can explain it. Here's the mean. Here's the mean. I don't know why it's cutting that, sorry. Do you see how I got a lot to the left and or the right, my dyslexic, and a lot to the left? Remember, distance is going to be positive. It's always absolute value. So we have a lot of numbers to add to the left and the right. Here on C, I have high numbers, but they're close by. Far away, I have less numbers. So the answer to 15 is D. Okay, number 16 talks about a flight from New York to Los Angeles and how it's on time 70%. And so this is a good question. What exactly does 70% mean? And you read over all the distractors, and I'm hoping that you realize that it's not A or B, all right? It doesn't have anything to do with weather. It's just that particular flight from New York to Los Angeles at that particular time of the day, that 70% of those flights arrived on time. And so the answer is E. All right, so this one took me a couple of times to read it, and I realized I couldn't make an answer choice here because I didn't know what I had to do. So anyway, so here's my chi-square distribution, right? Now, the deal is the number that goes here is called chi-square crit. Chi-square, this is your critical value. Now, the way, you know how I found that? I went onto my chart. Remember I showed you the chart where alpha is equal to 0.05? And what's my degrees of freedom here? Do you notice that I have a goodness of fit? So degrees of freedom are categories minus 1, which is 3. So they have 4 categories. So that means my chi-square calc, if you look on the table, it's 7.891. All right? Now, what did I get for chi-square calc? I got 8.04. So let me choose another color for that. And so 8.04 is over here. Now remember, when we're in the small area is the rejection area. So the deal is this, I'm sorry, I'm being ADD. So we are going to reject HO, which means we're going to go with HA. And so HO is that the distributions are the same. HA's is that they're different. That the distributions are different, okay? So it says from the 804 was computed, are the observed results inconsistent with the expected? So the answer is yes, they are inconsistent. So it's either A or B, and it's because the computed chi-squared is greater than the critical value. So the answer here is A. Look on the table. I want you to physically see the table. You have one in your book, all right? near the end of the appendix, or go online to go look at it. Okay, let's look at number 18. Since I recently just got done doing a goodness of fit, I kind of thought this might be a chi-squared, so I was trying to see how I could work it to be a chi-squared, but it's not, because I keep on using the word proportion, all right? So let's go down here at A, and it says, of the three attitude groups, the group with the negative attitude has the highest proportion of type A. So let's look at type A personalities. Now, my denominator is always 60. My denominator is always 60. So if I have 25 over 60, I believe that was 0.41. Then I have 11 over 60. Let me go back to that page. I got 0.18. And then I got 24 over 60. Well, then I got 0.4. And so what did you notice? The number, since my denominator was the same, the one with the highest numerator had the highest proportion. And that's what they asked for at the highest proportion. And that was positive. That was not negative. So it's not A. Well, let's go to B. Now they asked the same question, but now it's about type B. So without doing all that work, let's use that same philosophy. So the guy with the highest numerator is the answer. And so the highest numerator is negative. And they want to know about neutral. So it's not B. Okay, so let's look what C says. For each personality type, half of the 100 respondents have a neutral attitude. Okay, so neutral, the total of neutral is 20. Half of 100 is 50. 20 is not near 50, so it's not C. It says D, the portion that has a positive attitude towards small cars is higher among group B than group A. So let's just look at positive. So they're saying is 12 greater than 25? The answer is no. Okay, E, more than half of the 100 respondents have a type A personality and a positive, okay, more than half of the respondents have a type A. Okay, so more than half, so they're saying is 60 more than a half, and the answer is yes. So the answer is E. Okay, first make sure you know what the problem is about before you go and figure it out. Okay, let's talk about 19. So let's say the two crates have to add up to 10 pounds, okay? Just pick something easy. So if this is 5 and this is 5, then they're the same. But if I increase this guy, what happens to this guy? Because remember, the weight has to be the same. So he went up, he went down. And let's say if I decrease this guy goes up. So do you see what happens is on the different axes, they're going in different directions. And whenever things are going in a different directions, then you always have a negative slope. Or in this case, we're talking about correlation, a negative correlation. So the answer is B. Okay, let's talk about stratified and has the word not. So let's think about this first. What is stratified sampling? Okay, so this is if I wanted to see if people are working out. And so I might have males and females. It's kind of like, it's like what blocking is to design, stratified is to sampling. Okay, random sampling is part of the sampling procedure. Well, that's it, because once you have them into the two groups, then you pick the people randomly. So A is not true. The population is then divided into groups of units that are similar on some characteristic. That is true. The strata are based on known facts before the sample is collected. That is true. Each individual in the populations belong to one and only one. That is true. So it has to be E. Every possible subset of the population of the desired sample size has an equal chance. Okay, is the deal is every possible subset. We're not going to do all of that. So the answer is E. All right, I have a question now that we're on this. When you stratify or when you block, do they have to be the same size? And the answer is no. Good. All right, so here's problem number 21. And it's about a confidence interval. And they said, which of the following statements is correct? Okay, this time it's is correct. It's not a not for this confidence interval. Okay, so the confidence interval is valid because the sample size is more than 30. Well, they're hoping that you get confused at means. Remember, for nearly normal, it's better to have a large sample size, and this is proportion, so two different things. Two different things. Not A. B. The confidence interval is valid because each resident was asked the same question. Okay, well, that's just a good way of doing sampling. Okay, then we're not going to go there. Okay, C. The confidence interval is valid because no conditions are required. Okay, whenever you take a sample, and when you do confidence intervals, that's what you're doing. You're sampling. What do? You always do conditions. So C is definitely out. Okay, so now all of those were that it is valid. Now these are where they're not valid. And they say because NP is too small. Remember that the success and the failure have to be greater than 10. And so what do we have? We have 4 and 42. So what can I tell you? That 4 is not less than 10, so therefore my space is too small. So the answer is D. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, now this is a z-score problem, so let's go do this. So this is for the grays. Okay, I like my pictures. Remember, identify your mean. So my mean is 18,000. And then I have a standard deviation of 4,000. Okay, and then I have a hunchback. So this is gray. And then this is hunchback. And my mean is 30,000 with a standard deviation equal to 6,000, okay? Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to change colors here. So what we're going to do is says a certain adult male gray weighed 24,000. So 24 is greater than 18. And remember, when we have at, remember like that frog problem, is below hand. So what I have to do is find the percentage of that area. So I'm going to go to do my z-score. I'm just going to do a z-score, okay? So z is equal to 24,000. Let's just get rid of these thousand. Minus 18,000 divided by 4,000. Okay, so 24 minus 18 is 6. So I get 6,000 divided by 4,000, crosses out, and so I get 6 over 4. And so what is that? I should know this. This is embarrassing. 6 divided by 4 is 1.5. So it's 1.5. Okay, so that's my z-score here. All right, so what I want to do is I want to be able to find what guy it is here for 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. So let me erase what I have here. Okay, now this time let's go work in another color. Let's do pink, okay? So I have to find my statistic minus 30,000 divided by 6,000. And remember, it has to equal to 1.5. So now on my calculator, I'm going to do 1.5 times 6,000. And then I'm going to add 3,000. So I get 39,000. So my mean is equal to 39,000. So the answer is E.